Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. So the jackass over there who takes over part of my filming space every October looked at a Star Trek comic last year. It was one involving alien cyborg mummies or something. It was goofy, but he liked it and decided to spotlight it. But apparently, during his searches for horror-themed Star Trek comics, he came across another Star Trek comic that he insisted I look at today. And you know what? I'm okay with that, because today is a special day, unless this episode doesn't come out on time. Today is First Contact Day! Yes, April 5th, according to Star Trek, is when humanity first made contact with the Vulcans and basically started the utopian future of Star Trek. So hey, looking at a silly old Gold Key comic for it should be fun. So let's dig into Gold Key's Star Trek number 9 and see if this story would make Vulcans question whether they should have met humanity. A Gold Key comic for a licensed property, it's a random photo cover featuring Spock from the episode Amok Time that has nothing to do with the actual contents of the book, save for the caption. George Washington is alive and well! Watch out, Mr. Spock! He's pissed that Betsy Ross knitted that kicky little scarf belt for him. We open on our preview of the story, The Legacy of Lazarus, with a landing party surrounded by famous historical figures including Napoleon, Washington, and Blackbeard, all wielding clubs. Bill and Ted 4 goes in some weird directions. Don't worry guys, you've actually met Abraham Lincoln before. He'll help you. In the Stygian void of space, the Enterprise discovers a planet inhabited by every famous person in the history of Earth, but mostly the white ones. They're closing in for the kill, Captain. Have you any suggestions? Everyone, stand your ground. If this is going to be the end, we're going down fighting. An artist's interpretation of a 7th grader taking a history exam without having studied. We truly open with the Enterprise, and its massive rocket engines that the artists thought the warp nacelles were, approaching Gamma Alpha 5. They're finally getting around to investigating the findings of a probe from 10 years ago that said the planet was capable of supporting life, but was otherwise uninhabited. However, Spock has picked up something strange. According to my sensors, Captain, there is a thriving civilization on the planet's surface. This is why you check this stuff out right away. Squatters moved in first. There's a massive city, so the landing party, surprisingly lacking any red shirts, is going down to investigate. Anytime you're ready, Scotty. Energize. Scotty's a little mad that nobody's commented on his dye job, and that he switched departments out of engineering, and yet he's still being ordered to run the transporter. They arrive in the city. My apologies, Mr. Spock. You were most definitely right. Naturally, Captain. Did you expect otherwise? You know, Spock, sometimes you can be irritatingly human. Really, Doctor, this is no time for insults. I know, sorry, I'm just cranky because all my uniforms are in the wash and I had to borrow one of Jim's. I'd say there's probably a Prime Directive issue here, since it could have been, like, a subterranean species building this in the last 10 years after coming to the surface. But, hey, this was the Kirk era. The Prime Directive was really more of a suggestion a lot of the time. They decide to talk to the first person they come across, and it's George Washington. But this is impossible. You've been dead for centuries. Wait, did you happen to run into some kind of weird alien cloud creature called a companion who wants to bang you? Because the guy who's responsible for First Contact Day had that happen to them. Wonder why he's wearing his military uniform. I think after a few hundred years, I just want to wear something casual and comfy in my downtime. He invites the confused landing party over for dinner at his place, Uhura noting the odd combination of styles of the place, which is exacerbated by the next person to enter. Friends, may I introduce my wife, the former Helen of Troy, now Helen of Circle Pines. Oh no, not again. I know Sulu means another historical figure, but with that reaction, it kind of makes me think this is like the 8th time they've run into Helen of Troy. And with the original series, that's entirely possible. Helen of who? Bones, it's very rude to be so dismissive of what she's most known for. You're not being a good guest, especially when she's making dinner. I must have missed the part of the Trojan War narrative about George Washington coming to get her. But yeah, Kirk and Spock are utterly baffled by this latest development and ask just what the hell. Washington says they've been here for as long as they can remember. Life is simple here. Nothing to do all day but sit and reminisce. Really not that different from the retirement home, honestly. The only place he and the others who are here can't go to is the Silver Spire. You mean the huge tower in the center of the city? Yes, that's it. It's the only area that is restricted to us.
Sure, it's phallic. Why wouldn't it be?
Kirk sends Spock and Sulu to investigate the tower, while the rest go to meet some other people in the neighborhood. Like Nero, Emperor of Rome.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
And then there's... and I'm sure you'll recognize Anton York, 45th President of the United States. Remember Ratchetron from a couple weeks ago? Here we go again! Yes, Anton York, the 45th President! Yes, my name is Anton York, the greatest of Antons and the greatest of Yorks. It's totally my real name. Let me have my Twitter account now. Why is he dressed like Doctor Strange? I, Anton York, built the greatest wall, the wall to end all walls, towering up into space. It towered, like York Tower. You could see how big my crowd size was from that wall, too. Gotta love how people in 1970 thought this was how presidents would dress in 50 years. Honestly, though, that's on us for not making capes a regular fashion thing. God, I joke, but he seriously looks like him a bit, just with the wrong hair color. This is real hair, the best hair. Jimmy Fallon ruffled this hair. He ruffled it. It's just my hair got into a tanning booth, and this is what happened. But it looks gorgeous on me. I'm a natural redhead. I never look bad ever. Quite a contrast, isn't it? First president next to the 45th. God, we really did have the worst timeline when there's one out there with the pirate magician as the 45th president. Of course they know him, George. His space organization ripped off their logo. This place is the greatest. I can play golf here all the time, and I always win. No, he doesn't. That is a fake president. That is a fake president. He said that I was the best golfer ever, and therefore the best president ever, and therefore the best golfer ever. And finally, I'm sure you'll recognize Anton York, 45th President of the United States. Recognize him, George? Oh, of course we do. We are never going to forget him. After seeing Lincoln, Kirk speculates that this is some kind of collection, which Washington seems to back up. Collected in this city are the greatest figures in history. Oh yeah? And where the hell's Mr. Rogers? Dear Lord, Jim, do you realize what this means? That's right, Bones. Party at Gandhi's house! We found heaven! I don't know. Heaven is a place on Gamma Alpha 5, just doesn't have the same ring to it. Kirk squashes the idea of this being heaven by pointing out Hermann Goering and, well, Hitler standing nearby.
This is the bad place.
Kirk contacts Spock to see if he's found anything, but he doesn't get an answer. As such, the trio heads to the spire to try to find the others, only finding Sulu waking up from being knocked out. He has a large lump on his head, Captain, but he'll be alright. Uhura's doing the medical check, McCoy and Scotty are in the wrong uniforms. Is it like Spirit Week on the Enterprise or something, and everybody swapped jobs? They can't find Spock, but we soon see that he was taken far below by this other pirate-looking dude. In the future, we all wear bright primary-colored uniforms, goofy-looking jumpsuits, or puffy shirts. There is no in-between. The guy introduces himself as Alexander Lazarus and states that the others won't be able to find them since they're miles underground. Lazarus. I recognize the name. I should think so. You met a Lazarus or two in The Alternative Factor, one of the worst episodes of TOS. No, according to Spock, Alexander Lazarus is an Earth historian of some minor repute. Minor repute? Ha, Spock, you're just like all the rest, blind to the genius to see about you. As you can see, I have recreated Adam West's Batcave down to the smallest detail. Just like my associates on Earth, They scoffed, laughed at me. One minor malfunction in my computer alienated me from Earth's scientific community. You cause 3 or 4 nuclear meltdowns and suddenly everybody's a critic. He took his android assistants and fled to this world, building a large complex underground while also having the large spire up top to act as an antenna. Imagine, Mr. Spock, a computer capable of attracting and recording the brainwaves, the very thoughts of every famous person in Earth's history.
Of course! Don't you know anything about science?
That clip is so damn appropriate for this episode. So, yeah, this guy built a machine that could record the brainwaves of people who have been dead for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Because I guess we actually transmit our thoughts and memories into space for anyone to just pick up and store. Oh, but it gets better. The medium by which he records these brainwaves? It has recorded all of that history on these punch cards. The 10,667 cards over there are all Optimus Prime's brain. Yeah, seriously, I joked a few weeks ago about the absurdity of putting friggin' Optimus Prime's brain on a 5¼ inch floppy disk, but here's frickin' Lazarus trying to one-up that. Store an entire human brain on punch cards! I looked it up, and apparently in 2010, Scientific American theorized that a human brain has about 2.5 petabytes of memory capacity. Assuming I did the math correctly, it would take around 22 trillion punch cards to equal the brain of an adult human. And honestly, even if I did the math wrong, it's still gonna be a pretty damn big number!
That's gonna take some serious software.
Thank you, Avery Brooks IBM commercial. You are equally an appropriate clip for this episode. On that note, Lazarus, for all his genius, apparently sucks at the technical side of all this, probably why he's using punch cards in the 23rd century, and his computers malfunctioned. One of his androids was shot by a burst of energy from the Cyclone machine, which transferred all the memories of Benjamin Franklin into the android. It also transformed the android physically into Ben Franklin because shut up. Also, I guess Robo Franklin had no questions about where he was, what was going on, or who the hell Lazarus was. He just put on his magically appearing hat and walked off. Strange, last I recall, I was speaking to that Kool-Aid Man fellow. At last! I finally have more than punch cards and tapes! He didn't store memories on the tapes. Those were reserved for his old Duran Duran cassettes. Over the next few months, he had his androids construct a city to house all the people, a machine to construct new androids, and then a process to imbue more androids with the memories of historical figures. And I guess Ben Franklin was just hanging out the whole time, flying kites or something. At last it was done! A city! A living memorial to the history of a world! Every person who had cast a ray of light into an otherwise dim time. Then why did you make Android Hitler and Goering? I told you guys that the twin clones of Hitler clip was appropriate. Seriously, what were you thinking? Oh, he says it wasn't just the good guys. Anyone who breathed hope or fear, power or pain into the annals of man now strides the temple streets above us.
Are you crazy? Is that your problem?
So, why the hell did he abduct Spock? Well, it seems that he's gotten bored listening to the historical figures reminisce about the same things over and over. You are a terrible historian! Although, given the technical side of all this, clearly you got into the wrong profession. So, at some point, does he want to tell the rest of the Federation about all this? Restore his reputation? No? Okay. Then I saw you on the planet's surface, and an idea evolved. I'm going to study Vulcan history, Mr. Spock, and I need your help. My assistance? In what way? It's simple, Spock! Incredibly simple! All I want from you is your brain! Really? Really? Does every medium Star Trek was on need a story where someone steals Spock's brain? I feel like Dr. Doofenshmirtz. If I had a nickel for every time someone tried to steal Spock's brain, I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened 3 times. Oh my god, if you count the mind meld transferring Spock's Katra to McCoy in the films, does that mean it's 4 times? Is there a novel where they take Spock's brain? A video game? One of the book and record sets? Why is this a subgenre of Star Trek stories? We enter part 2 of this comic with Spock wondering what the hell good his brain is to him. Lazarus says the device is only attuned to human brain waves and can't register Vulcan ones, thus he needs a test subject to properly get it working. Someone whose brain patterns can be absorbed and recorded by my brain drain device. I got the blueprints from the old Dr. Doom archives. I love his hesitation to say brain drain, as if that's the silliest part of this entire thing. The process will destroy Spock's mind, although again, if you just contacted some Vulcans to ask about their brainwaves, they'd probably be down for this whole recreate historical figures so we can converse with them plan. The others in the landing party have found a way down, so Lazarus activates a security device for the android duplicates, making them perceive the Starfleet crew as villains come to destroy them. As such, George Washington punches Kirk. Being able to say stuff like that is really why this is the best job in the universe. Lazarus tries to lead Spock away to his brain drain, but he's freed himself and attacks. Screw the Vulcan neck pinch, check out the Vulcan crane kick. Ugh, you're free! But how? You should have been more inventive. It merely required a simple mathematical progression to unlock the manacles. Another example of the Crow T-Robot doctrine.
Just because it's futuristic doesn't mean it's practical.
Lazarus shoves a file cabinet into Spock. I won't let all my plans, my dreams, be spoiled by some pointy-eared alien freak. Now I'm beginning to see why Lazarus made robot duplicates of Nazis. Actually, wasn't that Churchill walking around earlier too? He was okay with just being neighbors with Hitler? Spock gets the phaser away from Lazarus, who, like an idiot, accidentally runs into his own brain drain machine, which automatically activates. He's unable to free Lazarus, who is quickly killed by the device. It seems in the struggle, some stray phaser blasts destroyed the computer equipment. Spock contacts the Enterprise and tells them to beam the rest of the landing party up, while he tries to save the records of Lazarus's work. Unfortunately, in his rush, he was only able to recover the punch cards for Flava Flav and the inventor of jorts. The group is beamed up, though Kirk insists they grab Spock. Turn the transporter up full. But Captain, that's more than double normal output. The transporter cannot take that for long. How is it that this comic got Scotty's she cannot take it down, but couldn't get his hair or shirt color right? They managed to grab Spock at the nick of time, but somehow the destruction of this computer equipment is so bad that the entire planet explodes! God, apparently those punch cards were made of antimatter or something. What the hell? Spock informs the crew of what happened. Remarkable story, Mr. Spock. That's one word for it. Another is bonkers. Yes, Captain. I only regret I was unable to save those computer tapes. I'm surprised, Spock. I'd have figured it was all indelibly etched on your memory banks. I assume, Dr. McCoy, that was a feeble attempt at humor. Very feeble. Did you think Spock was memorizing the punch cards? All that information. Lost forever. After all, what is man without his heroes? His fables and legends. Yes, the fables and legends of actual historical people. I mean, I guess there's fables around them, like Washington, but still. Our heritage is our inspiration bones. To reach for things beyond what we can already touch. To dream a greater dream, and mold it into a reality. Without the thinkers, the planners, the leaders, the doers, without our history to catch us when we fall and set us on our feet again, what has man got left? Robot Hitler! This comic is absurd, baffling, stupid, and wild. But goddamn if it ain't fun! Honestly, as bizarre and weird as this one is, it's the kind of story that, for the most part, I could totally see be made into an original series episode. Space androids, meeting historical figures, mad scientist rejected for his vision. This would totally be one of the campier but awful episodes of TOS, down to Kirk trying to make some elegant speech about the need for heroes. Sure, it'd need a lot of rewrites, but I could see it done. But as it is of course hilariously bad. The plot is already absurd to the point where a similar concept was done on Red Dwarf for parody, in this case, waxwork androids of famous celebrities and historical figures battling over good and evil. But when you dig into the little details of it, the androids not knowing how any of this happened but just accepting it, the historian that could record historical figures' brainwaves and make perfect duplicates of those figures, wanting to steal Spock's brain, the punch cards, it's just so wonderfully goofy that I can't help but love it in a so bad it's good kind of way. Next time, more Star Trek, but as a Patreon-sponsored review. We're looking at when the crew of the Enterprise met the Legion of Superheroes. George Washington is alive and well. Watch out, Mr. Spock! Given where that picture is from, does that mean George Washington is going through Ponfar too?
Hello my friends, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications on new video releases. If you'd like to support future videos, you can check out my Patreon or purchase a t-shirt via Teespring or Shark Robot. Thanks for watching!